right, Conservative Underground, Conservatism in Exile. It is the Sean Hannity Show. 800-941-SEAN is our toll-free telephone number. Actor Gary Sinise, by the way, is going to check in with us at the bottom of the hour. First, as we played earlier in the program today, former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, made these comments regarding Nancy Pelosi's accusation that the CIA lied as it relates to her knowledge about enhanced interrogation techniques and her contradicting remarks. Straight ahead.
She had an absolute obligation to know what was going on, and she had an absolute obligation to speak up. Men and women risk their lives all over this planet protecting us. And she has now viciously and dishonestly turned on them. It is despicable. And as an Army brat, I find it unbelievably offensive that left-wing Democrats don't care about defending America. They care about hunting down and purging their political opponents in a way which is going to cripple this country. She is nitpicking in a fundamentally dishonest way. Speaker Pelosi is the big loser because she either comes across as incompetent or dishonest. Those are the only two defenses she's got.
Mr. Speaker, I've known you a long time, a real long time, and that is about as harsh a criticism as I've ever heard you give anybody, but I think well-deserved.
Well, I think everybody listening to this needs to understand this is about life and death. This is about enemies who want to kill America and who want to kill Americans. And this is about the number 3 politician in America, the Speaker of the House, sending a signal to every person in the military, every person in the Foreign Service, every person in the intelligence community, that no matter what your legal advice is, no matter what the lawyers told you was appropriate, that 7 years later, some powerful politician can change their mind, go back and change the rules, and put your very freedom at risk. And I think the chilling effect, if she is able to get away with this kind of dishonest smear of the Central Intelligence Agency, which has an absolute legal obligation to brief people. I was briefed for 4 years as Speaker of the House. I've done work off and on with the agency for many years. I know that Minority Leader John Boehner today gets briefed every week. She both was the ranking member of the Intelligence Subcommittee and got briefed in that role, and she was as the minority leader, she had the right to get briefed, and now she's been Speaker for 2.5 years. She has the right to get briefed. And for her to say she didn't know tells you either she did not want to know or she's lying. And I think that she is digging herself into a position where the House has to investigate her. And I think that the act of lying to the nation on a matter of national security should be considered absolutely, totally incompatible with serving as Speaker of the House.
Well, we know that she's told a series of different stories. Well, first, she said she didn't know at all about enhanced interrogations. Then at one point said she hadn't been briefed, then said she had been briefed, but it wasn't clear what techniques were used. You know, now she's out there saying, well, she had been briefed and told the techniques were legal and need not worry about it. Then she said, well, I knew about it, but I didn't want to break the proper chain of command and the proper channels and say anything about it. You know, this is totally and completely and utterly incoherent on her part.
Right, and then she decided, the reason, I hadn't spoken out much about this, and the reason I got as decisive as I did, is that her press conference yesterday, she decides she'll simply smear the intelligence community and defame every person who is trying to do their best to defend America by suggesting that they were breaking the law and failing to inform the congressional leadership. And to the best of my knowledge, I have talked personally with Pete Hoekstra about this. I read what Porter Goss wrote, and Porter Goss was the chairman of the Intelligence Committee at that time, and later he became the head of the CIA. Goss is a professional intelligence agent during the Cold War and comes at this from a background of knowing how many young men and women we put at risk who literally risk their lives to defend America. And to have senior politicians behave like this, I think, is literally beneath contempt.
Well, apparently there's one report that I just saw on Fox earlier today that Leon Panetta is saying we don't lie. Now, that coupled with Steny Hoyer, who originally said we need to know what she knows and when she knows it, although he backed off a day later. But, you know, the second most powerful Democrat is refusing to corroborate Pelosi's charge that the CIA lied to Congress. He says, I have no idea about that. I don't have a belief of that nature because I have no basis on which to base such a belief. I certainly hope that's not the case. So obviously he is distancing himself now from Pelosi's charge, And that came after Eric Cantor declared there have been statements made by the Speaker and others indicating a certain preconceived bias, like a belief that perhaps the CIA or others misled us. And then she even went on to say they mislead us all the time, she said yesterday.
Well, that's the point where I decided that was it. I mean, she is unworthy of serving as Speaker of the House. That is a lie about the Central Intelligence Agency. It's a lie about the National Security Agency. It's a lie about the Director of National Intelligence. It is literally inconceivable that this country can tolerate that kind of behavior.
Well, I would agree. Now, what is the best way to proceed from here? For example, we know that she controls congressional hearings. We know that...
No. Look, if somebody needs to presently draft a privilege resolution suspending her as Speaker and calling for an investigation by a select committee of people who have served on the Intelligence Committee, made up of an equal number of Democrats and Republicans. And she needs to be suspended from the speakership pending the report of that committee. But what she's done is not tolerable. And you can't have her as the most powerful person in the House being investigated in the House, because it would be a joke. And so I think that Hoyer needs to become the interim Speaker, or whoever the Democrats choose. And she needs to literally step aside during the period in which they're looking at this. This is a very, very serious matter.
Do you think a special counsel needs to be appointed?
Not at this stage. I mean, I think the first round ought to be for the House to police itself, because the allegation she has made, I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see Tenet and the other former directors of the Central Intelligence Agency decide to take her head on, because she's in effect defaming every person who's been the head of the intelligence community for the last 10 years.